Hi, I'm Paulina and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.
Welcome back, and always a delight to have with us our good friend Dr. Paul Kreitz. And again, drpaulkreitz.com is his website, and he is president of a Bible college, pastor of a church. He leaps tall buildings. He eats raw meat. He's a good guy. Hi, Paul. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, not as much raw meat as I used to, but I'm doing very well, Perry. Great to see you. You know, we're coming into that busy time of the year running a Christian university, and got a lot of activities that are going, and I'm dashing out the door after this interview. But what a blessing to be with you today and to talk to our listeners about a subject that is coming out of my first book, Discovering the Power of Purpose. You know, your purpose is your discovery, not your decision. And so when you discover your purpose and you start moving through life, you discover that you need some people to help you along life's path. And those people are called mentors. And that's what we're going to talk about today out of my book, Discovering the Power of Purpose.
Well, you know, Scripture says, I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord. It's plans to help you and not to harm you. Ephesians says, you know, he laid things out in advance for us. So God has something in mind for us to get in sync with His purpose. I've seen more and more people, and you see this a lot, Paul, where people all of a sudden discover, like you said, that God actually has a plan and a purpose for their life. And once they get in sync with that, how fulfilling it really, really is. And it's like me. I love what I'm doing. It's hard work, like you. It's hard work. Nobody understands the struggles of it. But you know you're doing what you're called to do. You just know it.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a lot of people tell me, no, you need to go here. You need to take this position. You need to pastor that church. And I go, no, I'm doing what I was called to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you know, at some point you realize that you don't have all the answers. You don't know every avenue to take. I've written, you know, I'm working on 2 new books, and I've written a number of books, and a lot of them are filled with wisdom and understanding, like this purpose book. And someone said, Dr. Kreitz, how did you get to be so smart? I said, it's because I used to be so dumb. And I just got tired of being stupid. You know, Perry, the worst part about being stupid is you're the last to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for telling me that.
Yeah. You know, what are friends for?
Yeah. You bring up the subject, Paul, of mentors. What's so interesting about this topic, and you and I probably could do a whole hour on it, I've been reading a lot about generational science and research, and today a lot of people don't need mentors because if they have a question, they can go to their phone and get the answer. And what's falling through the crack is the wisdom of the elderly being passed on to the youth.
Well, 2 Timothy 2:2, you know, Paul is talking to a young guy named Timothy, and Timothy had access to all the great teachers and leaders of his day, and he was teaching him how to be an effective leader. And he said, those things that you've heard and seen me do, I want you to entrust those to faithful men. I call them FAT, faithful, available, and teachable. Faithful, available, and teachable. You know, the unteachable will always be unhappy. There's a pastor listening to me now, and you just need to know that the unteachable will always be unhappy. You know, you can't solve the problems of the unteachable. But man, if you are willing to learn today, yes, there's Google, and yes, there's schooling, and yes, there's career counseling. There's all kinds of things. But there's something very, very specific about discovering your purpose finding someone else that has walked and laid the steps ahead of you. You know, there's only two ways to learn, Perry: mistakes and mentors. There's no great success. There's nothing you learn from the second kick of a horse. You've got to understand there's only two ways. Someone said to me, well, Dr. Kreitz, I have an advanced degree from the School of Hard Knocks. And I thought, and you're bragging about that? Really?
All right. So there's a lot of books on mentoring, and you've even mentioned it in your book. How do we know what a good mentor is?
Well, it's real simple. A mentor is not your cheerleader. Your mentor is your coach. A cheerleader, your friends are all happy with your present. A coach is very interested in your future. A mentor is like a coach. They're focused on where you're going, not on where you've been. In fact, it's like coming to Christ. Your past has very little relevance to your future. God extinguishes it. He covers it with his blood. He gives you a new beginning. You have a plan and purpose in the mind of God waiting to be unfulfilled, waiting to be fulfilled. And it's in those moments of feeling unfulfilled that you become frustrated and discouraged, and you say, I believe I know what I'm supposed to do. I just don't know how to get there. And that's why God created mentors.
Are we good listeners? And the reason I asked that question, I saw something the other day that stuck with me. I was learning, believe it or not. It said this: do you listen to learn, or do you listen to reply?
Well, a good protege, and that's someone who studies under a mentor, is going to listen. Let me tell you about my first experience, Perry, with my first mentor. And if I mentioned his name, you would know his name. Most of Christendom would know his name. And I admired him greatly from a distance, and I always wanted to spend time with him. I heard he was going to be at a Christian television station in Orlando, Florida. I made arrangements with his team to get 10 minutes, and my 10 minutes was going to be in the makeup room as they were prepping him for an interview on this Christian television network. As a young man, I walked in there and I brought a couple sheets of paper with my background on it because I was sure that he'd want to know about me. But unfortunately, I asked him the first question, and here it was: what is the most important thing I need to know in talking with you today? I thought that was a good question. And his answer was, never come before me without pen and paper or a recorder, or you're just wasting my time.
What did that teach you?
That taught me that if you're going to be mentored, you don't do the talking, you do the listening. If you're going to be mentored, don't waste your mentor's time with your talents and your achievements. Find out how you can move forward in life. Learn from the greatness of others. Oh, can I tell you, I could talk all day about learning from the greatness of others. Learn from their great mistakes, learn from their great achievements, but learn the greatness from others.
How do you go about selecting a mentor who will be trustworthy and effective?
Well, I believe there is a divine connection that takes place. I really have found this to be in my life, for the people that have mentored me, and for the many, many people that I've had the opportunity to mentor in ministry, in my academic side, just in learning how to be a success in life. And they will hear something. If you will affix your ear, it's like hearing by the Spirit. You hear something when that person speaks. Remember when Elisha saw Elijah coming by? He heard something. He acted upon it. He said, you're going to be my mentor. I'm going to follow you. He didn't know he was going to get a double portion. He didn't know the outcome, but he made a decision to be mentored. Paul mentored Timothy. Paul mentored Titus. It's very important that we hear something that connects inside of us to the voice of our mentor.
Isn't mentoring also surrendering to accountability?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think one of the greatest needs of our generation and of this hour is the arena of accountability. And so it's very, very important that you be upfront with your mentor and that you be honest and you be transparent with them, because you're just wasting everyone's time if you're not. And let that mentor hold you accountable. I will tell a protege of mine, I need you to read this book. Or like one of my mentors said, you know, there was a man at a banquet and he was going around boasting that this person was his mentor. And they said, "Is he your mentor? We hear him talking about that." And the wise mentor said, "I don't know. I haven't corrected him yet."
Paul, you do mentoring calls quite often. And I want to be careful here because I didn't clear this before you, but if somebody was interested in being mentored to you, is that probably the entryway to do that?
Yes, I do a mentoring call every Sunday live, Sunday evening, 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock on the West Coast. I do a live mentoring call for about 25 minutes. I pray a lot about it. I have a lot of people that come on the call, and then you can find out about the call. If you missed it, you can go back and get the replay number. And I have no reluctance to give out that information or leave that information with the station if somebody wants to call in and get that phone number and the time. And I will email that to your producer or some of your staff, or we can talk after this call. But what's important is that you discern. You discern. I can listen and tell you the voices that you're listening to. I can listen. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. I can listen in just a short period of time. I can discern like that who you're listening to. I can tell if you're listening to a foolish person. I can tell if you believe you know about finances and you really don't. You've just been talking to your crazy cousin who thinks they know about finances. I can discern in a moment, because it's so important that you surround yourself with the right voices. And today, it's so important that you discover mentorship for your life. Some of it's costly, but you know, you can be mentored by a book. I wrote this book. You can be mentored by a book. You can be mentored by a CD series. And do you know that all the time I'm being mentored? I'm constantly plugging in on my computer like you are and listening. But God will use anyone to be a mentor in your life. You've got to learn how to chew the meat and spit out the bones. Maybe they don't agree doctrinally or philosophically with everything you believe, but they've got some great secrets that they could share in your life. Remember, his name was Saul. He was the tormentor of the church, and then he became Paul, the mentor of the church. But let me say this last thing. You know who the number one mentor is on the earth? That's the Holy Spirit. The greatest mentor you'll ever have is listening to the Holy Spirit.
Let me take a break here. Dr. Paul Krites, CRITES.com is the website. And hold up the book there, Paul. Which one is it?
It's called Discovering the Power of Purpose.
All right. And you can go to his website there, drpaulkrites.com, and order that book. We'll take a quick break and we'll come right back. Okay, we're back with our good friend Dr. Paul Krites, and we're talking about his book that really is one of his beginning books that still has incredible value. And I think one of those resource books you're going to want in your library is called Discovering the Power of Purpose. And there's a picture of it up there on the screen for those watching on the Dove TV. You can go to drpaulkrites, CRITES.com, and order the book, and he'll get it out to you right away. I think so often we drift. There's an old saying, Paul, too soon stupid, too late smart. I'm sure you've never dealt with that one. But let me ask you this about mentoring, because it really is in this fast, high-tech digital world that we live in, we're not reaching out to peoples, we're reaching out to our devices to get information. Is it okay to ask someone to be your mentor?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And even in this high-tech, high digital devices age, if you will find successful people, I am never surprised anymore. I will watch someone, I mean a famous, successful business person, speaker, teacher, minister, and if you do enough research, you will find they all have a key person that came into their life at a strategic moment. You know, your mentor's entry into your life represents a miracle, a modern day miracle. A mentor's entrance into your life represents a change in the season over your life. Someone's listening to us right now and you say, I just can't change the seasons. I've studied, I've prayed, I've given of myself. I don't know what the missing key is. I want to give you the key today to unlock the door. The key to unlock the door is finding a mentor. Someone who knows what you don't know. Someone who's been where you haven't been. Someone who's experienced what you've yet to experience. A mentor can save you hundreds of hours of pain and frustration. That first mentor I was talking about in that TV studio went on to be my mentor and edited this first book that I'm talking about. Sat in the front seat of a car on the way to the airport. I sat in the back. I handed him my manuscript. He was tearing pages out. I thought I was going to die. He was tearing all these. He said, that belongs, that doesn't belong. And he said, this is the book. He said, this will touch lives. It's now in its fourth printing. And I'm telling you, it has impacted tens of hundreds of thousands of people. I get calls all the time. Perry, I get emails from people in other countries that we don't distribute this book in. How they got this book, I'm shocked and surprised. But they'll quote things out of the book and ask me to come speak or ask me to be connected to their ministry. But yes, you need to ask someone to be your mentor and be willing to reward that mentor for their time.
Okay, and I think that's significant because you can't all be takers, you got to be givers. Let me ask you this, Paul. Asking a mentor to come into your life and to speak into your life requires one of the hardest things for all of us to do, and that's to submit. Basically, shut up and listen. That's got to be a tough one to get over.
Well, if you get hungry enough,
yeah.
You know, I believe revelation is not just for the holy. I believe it's for the hungry.
Yeah, wow. That's a great word. You know, it's often been said the only two things will make you change is inspiration and desperation.
Well, and I want you to know, my brother, there have been some desperate moments in my nearly 40 years of public life, public ministry, writing, speaking, leading companies, leading a university, leading a ministry, leading churches, helping to plant churches. I've been to 40 nations. And if I did not have mentorship in my life, I was writing today my new book, and there are two keys, I believe, that have absolutely guided me to success. One is having a personal place of prayer, a room, a place in my life. Every home I've ever been in, I found a room or a corner, or I've built in one of the bays of the garage, or I've taken the back part of the house or something, and I've converted it into a private place. You know, someone says, "Why, Pastor, I go to my office." Well, you can't pray there. You're too vulnerable. There's too many people. There's too many interruptions. There's too many distractions. You've got to find a place to pray. And not just if you're a pastor, if you're in business, you need to find a place to pray. The first key was finding a place to pray. And the second key is what we're talking about today. Mentorship is listening to wisdom, bringing wisdom. I always say, you know, whoever you're standing under is determined what you're understanding. Whoever you're standing under is bringing the understanding to your life.
Psalm 91 says, "He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High will abide under the shadow of the Almighty. So we all need that secret place.
Absolutely. And I've had one. The day I discovered about the secret place was a remarkable. The secret place birthed this book that I'm holding. It birthed my first mentor. It birthed my first national TV program. My secret place has birthed many, many great things in my public life and in my private life.
So, Paul, is there a plan that God has preordained for each one to fulfill?
Without question. Everybody comes to earth. They do not come to earth empty. No one comes to earth empty. Everyone comes with gifts, anointings, talents. Everyone comes to earth for something, for a purpose to be fulfilled. And once you discover your purpose, then the next most important question is, where am I assigned to make that happen? Where is that supposed to be? That's all coming out of my book, Discovering the Power of Purpose. I answer those questions about knowing your purpose and discovering your assignment. And then in this book, I talk about the miracle of mentorship. You've got to know that the words of your mentor are blessing you into your future, or the words of the thoughts of your mind are holding you captive in your present.
So often people are put into a position that's really a manufactured position by the circumstances and not necessarily God. I've seen the school teacher made the principal. No, they were called to be a school teacher. A classroom, not the principal. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people are advanced into the pastor's position, and that's not their calling. They are to be a Sunday school teacher. I mean, how do we know if we're misplaced?
Well, it's very easy to know you're misplaced because things are not working out for you. You were doing great here, and you say, well, I took the bonus, I took the increase, I took the raise, and I took the new position. Oh, I've talked to so many people that have said, should I take this position? I said, are you having great success? Are you still able to do what you want to do? Do you still have a sense of a life? Oh, yes. Well, have you measured this out, what's about to happen when you take this new position for a few more dollars, for a new office in the building?
Wow.
You need to think this through, because God created you in a purpose. He's given you an assignment, and I wouldn't change my assignment no matter how many people jumped up and down and lit their head on fire unless I knew it was God. And remember this, Barry, your assignment, there's always a provision in the place that God called you to be. God made places before he made faces, and there's always a provision. How do you know you're not in the right place? There is no provision. The provision dries up. So today, if you're listening to us, you've got to allow me to get some things into your head so we can change what's in your hand. And I want to get this book into your hand today. If you'll go to the website, as Perry said, paulkreitz.com, you'll order the book. I'll pay the shipping here in the United States. And I'm telling you, my books are all over the state of Oregon. I can tell you that because we are blessing so many people. But you know what? We're hearing from people who are saying, this is changing my life. It's impacting my life.
Paul, one last question before I run out of time. We've got less than a minute. In the midst of all of this, where does peace apply?
Peace is always the umpire. The umpire stands behind the catcher at the ball game. The pitch is thrown. The catcher catches it. The catcher says, what is that, a ball or a strike? And the umpire says, it's nothing till I say it is. Peace is the umpire. Peace is the umpire. You know when peace hits your life that you've got some good things coming across your plate.
Beautifully said. All right, here's what you do, folks. You go to Paul Kreitz, that's CRITES.com, order the book. He'll pay the shipping back. There's a picture there on the screen. Another great resource, Discovering the Power of Purpose. Thank you, brother. You're an inspiration, and I know you've got a fast track. We'll catch up a little bit later. Best to you. Everything working out with your move?
Everything's working out. I'll get the information to the producers.
Okay.
Those that want to be on that weekly mentoring call, you call the station, they'll give you the information.
Thanks, pal. Good to see you.
God bless.
God bless. All right, Paul Kreitz. Again, Paul Kreitz, CRITES.com. We'll see you next time on Focus Today.